So classification of law, just a high level outline so that you can then go into doing your, and we did this the other day, but I'm going to do it again for the benefit of the people who weren't here. And also it doesn't hurt to do a reminder, okay? So remember, sources of law is SIGA. Everybody cool, Jude? Cool with SIGA?
So you put it on the board every day.
That's right. That's right. You know what? My year 11 students understand SIGA and remember SIGA better than my year 12 students. Okay? Because I haven't done that with them. But, Sam, this is what I wanted. Yes. So there's two ways we can think about the law. We can think about where it's come from. That's the source. And we can think about, well, how can we classify it? How can we categorize it? Okay? And the answer is very simple. Private. Oh, that says private, by the way. No comments on my pen license, please. And public. Okay? Private. Within each of those, we need to remember three. Okay? See how simple it is to remember the two broad categories. Private, public. Well, they go hand in hand. They must be everything. Private, public. Okay? Within private, we have three. Contract law. We'll come back and cover each of these in a moment. And property. Within public, we have three. Covered by CAC. Excellent. What's the third one?
Constitutional.
Constitutional. Okay. So you need to understand and learn each of these three, and each of these six, and each of these six can come from, doesn't necessarily come from one particular source of this. It can come from multiple sources. Okay. So let me give you an example. Criminal law. Criminal law is largely covered under statute. So there's an act in New South Wales. It's largely New South Wales, but not totally. If you import drugs into the country, it's a federal issue. There's a federal act. But most of the day-to-day criminal matters are covered under the Crimes Act New South Wales 1900. Okay? So it's criminal. It's largely covered by statute. However, there are some rules of court that are covered by common law, by previous cases. Okay? So that's common law. So that's in there as well. So this one issue, this one classification, criminal law, is largely statute but not totally statute. So you see how it covers multiple different things here. Okay? Also, the Constitution has a provision, Section 80, which said that in relation to a serious Commonwealth matter, federal matter, that there needs to be a fair trial. Okay? So that's also in. There's also a small amount of law, criminal law, that relates to the Constitution. It comes from the Constitution. Can you see how multiple areas of sources can relate to one of these issues? Does that make sense? So there's like, you might think about it in terms of crossover. Okay. Let's cover each of these so you've got some general understanding before we go into further detail and further look at. Okay. So contract law. I want to sell my iPhone to somebody, and for $50, and they say yes. Well, I go and buy a new iPhone from Apple, or I go and set up a new iPhone plan with Telstra. Then all of those are contract, and contract involves two-way promise, and the idea of contract law is to make sure that both parties stick to what they promised. Okay. So I've got to pay Telstra some money, in return they've got to provide me with a certain service, which they don't always do, but then I can complain or whatever. Okay? So that's contract law. Tort, the law of tort is a law of making sure that other people, that in going about our day-to-day issues and society, that we do the right thing by other people. So we don't have a contract with them. If I had a contract with Telstra and they don't deliver, I can sue them, okay? Because it's enforceable. But tort, I don't have a contract with them, but they still have a duty of care, a duty to do certain things by me, and I have a duty to do certain things by them. Okay? There's a number of subcategories under tort. One is negligence, one is nuisance, one is defamation, which we're seeing at the moment in the Ben Robert Smith case. Okay? So there's a number of categories in there, and we'll come back and talk about those separately. Property law. So there's a house over there, and if I sell that house, that's an example of property law. Okay? or if I go and steal money from a bank, that's both criminal, but it also involves the bank's property, okay, money, okay? So that's property law, fairly straightforward. Public law, criminal law is a public law because it's a law against society, okay? Even if I murder another individual, that's regarded as not just obviously an act against them, but it's regarded as an act against society, all right? Administrative law is any law that involves government departments. So I go to Centrelink, I want to get Austudy if that still exists. They say no, then the law says that I have certain rights to pursue what I think is my right to get that money, okay? So this involves, think about this as being government bodies or departments, DPT departments, okay? Constitutional law here doesn't relate so much to the various aspects of the important aspects of the Constitution, like separation of power, division of power, etc. It relates more so to individual laws that are in the Constitution. Okay, so we see in Section 80 a law that says that in certain circumstances there needs to be a fair trial. We see in Section 116 the concept of religious freedom. Okay. So there are a few, there's not many, but there are a few laws within the Constitution that provide certain rights and responsibilities, and they are in here, okay? Under Constitution. All right, guys, that's an outline. Any questions on any of that? Okay, stop video.